Okay, well, I have been accumulating these piles of paper clutter for this video, and last night Tom finally looked at the piles and he was like, what is this? And I'm like, this is proof that we have conquered paper clutter in our life, because we don't have piles like this sitting around anymore in the kitchen and in our bedroom and closets and drawers. This is definitely one area we have conquered, and I'm really excited to share with you the really simple way that you can conquer it in your life as well. Well, hi, I'm Dawn from theminimalmom.com. If we have not met before, I am married to Tom. We have 4 kids, ages 3 through 8. And I'll tell you what, I'm a lot like you. I would have these problems like paper clutter in my life, and I would Google it, and I would read blog posts, and I would watch videos, and I would see these other women with these like beautiful systems for managing paper clutter in their life, and I couldn't figure out why none of them ever worked for me. And so if you've ever felt that way, like, why can't I just stay on top of this? I think this video is for you, and I think we're gonna make a lot of progress in a really short amount of time today. And like sometimes happens, this video was getting too long, so I decided to break it into 2 sections. So the first today, we're gonna talk about what to do with existing paper clutter, and then in the next video, I'm gonna talk about how I organize the very limited amount of paper that we still have to manage in our house. So I'll show you that exact system in the next video. So before we get started today, I wanna ask you 2 questions. Here's the first question. If I said that while you were out yesterday, I went into your house and I gathered all of the paper clutter in your house, from your desk, from your kitchen, from your closets, from your dresser drawers, anywhere in the house that there was paper clutter stuffed, I grabbed it and I threw it all away. What would your reaction be? Would you be mad about it? Or would you actually feel a little bit relieved and be glad that, well, at least now the decision's been made for you and you don't have to spend your precious time sorting through all of this? Or how about this question? Have you ever moved or remodeled, or for some reason packed up a bunch of stuff like this into a box, and then you found it 6 months, a year, 2 years later, and realized that not only did you not miss any of it, you just didn't need any of it? And so here's what I want to challenge you on today. I think when we look at paper clutter and we start that daunting task of trying to sort through it, a lot of times we're working with old information. Sure, when we were growing up or when our parents were growing up, a lot of this stuff needed to be kept because it couldn't easily be replaced. But that's just not the world we live in today. All of this stuff in front of me, every single piece of it, could be replaced with an online search or a single phone call. Every piece of it. And the stuff that couldn't, well, it's probably stuff that I'm gonna receive again. And so what I wanna do is walk through some of these items with you. And here's the scale that we're gonna use when we're deciding to keep stuff. We're gonna say, is it easy to replace? Something like a bank statement where I could just print it off online again. Is it middle ground to replace? Maybe it takes a few more steps to replace it, but really within 15 minutes or less, I could have another copy of it. Or is it irreplaceable or difficult to replace? You know, things like our taxes, vehicle titles, death, marriage, birth certificates, those type of things. They're a good idea to have in a safe place and to hang on to. But that stuff, that hard to replace stuff, is the minority. The rest of this stuff, I think you're gonna find that we can get rid of most of it. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do to get started. Grab as much of your paper clutter as you feel comfortable processing today. So it might be all of it if you really wanna go all in, or you might just wanna grab a couple stacks, try out this process and see how it goes. The second thing you need is a box, a banker's box, a diaper box, an Amazon box, any kind of box will do. And what we're gonna put in here is just the stuff that we just don't know about. If when you're going through this stuff, you're just not positive if you can actually get rid of it or not, and it doesn't fit into one of our filing categories, then that's the stuff we're gonna put in this box. It shouldn't be very much. And then, like some of my other methods, we're gonna throw this into storage and see if there's anything that we need to retrieve from it in the future. Chances are there's not going to be anything, and then I'd also like you to write a date on there of when this box can just get discarded. So maybe it's 6 months or a year from now. Put a date on the box where you know it's safe to get rid of the contents and you don't have to look in it again. You literally go and dump it into the recycling bin. Okay, so I read something the other day and it was really interesting. It said that when we're making decisions for somebody else, if it's a friend or a loved one, we are 85% more objective than when we're making decisions for ourselves. So what does this mean? Basically, when we're helping somebody else make a decision, we're very logical. We can easily weigh the pros and cons and the expected outcome from the decision. However, when we're making a decision for ourselves, we don't always think as clearly. And I think that really plays into things like this, like when we're going through paper clutter and other objects in our house. Sometimes it feels hard and we just don't know what to do. So here's what I want to do today. Today, I want to be that friend that's going to help you think objectively. I want to walk you through some of these things that you're very likely going to find in your stacks of paper clutter, because everybody's stacks are pretty much composed of the same stuff. And I want to be that objective second party so that we can get through this stuff really quickly. Again, we're going to use that scale of how to know if we should keep it or not, from how easy to hard it is to replace. So let's get started with a few really common things. Most of these things come in the mail every day. So how about store flyers? Like I said, I don't really use coupons anymore, but let's say you get this in the mail, you see a coupon that grabs your attention. Cut it right away, and then we have to have a place to keep it. But honestly, if this has been in your pile for 6 months, a year, this is not good anymore, right? So this is gonna get recycled, and we're gonna put this in the very easy to replace category. Birthday cards, greeting cards, things like that. It was my birthday last month. I got quite a few birthday cards, which I'm so grateful for. They're so thoughtful, and I really appreciate the people in my life that gave it to me. But you know what's gonna happen? Next year, I'm gonna have another birthday. So even though this card itself might not be super easy to replace, I'm gonna get more of them again and again in the future. So that to me says that it is easy to replace, unless it's from someone that's no longer in your life. But then let's find a special place to keep these where we might flip through them every once in a while. Or don't feel obligated to keep it. Just because that person was special to you, you still have memories with them, and that's the most important thing of all. Kids artwork. And not only is this artwork, this was also a birthday gift from my daughter. And so I have a whole video dedicated to kids artwork, but in a nutshell, even though this specific piece is unique and could technically categorize it as irreplaceable, this daughter of mine loves art and she creates new artwork every day. So in that regard, it's actually very easily replaced. So I keep a few special pieces, but most of it does end up getting discarded. But here's the other thing that I want to challenge you with. I was actually listening to the book, The 5 Love Languages for Kids. It was recommended by Darcy Isabella. It has been life-changing. I highly recommend it. Tom and I are going to do a video on it in the near future. And actually, if we've been listening to it on Audible, and down below I have a code where you can download 2 free books on Audible if you use that link. And it's like the only way I could get this book for free, because I think every parent should read or listen to this book. It is so powerful. But if you're familiar with the concept of the 5 love languages, one of the love languages is quality time. So I've mentioned our oldest daughter loves artwork. And then as I was listening to this book, also realized that her top love language is quality time. And so this past weekend, I just made it a point to do some artwork and some crafts with her. We actually made these Halloween mason jars, which are so much fun. I'll leave a link to that down below because we did a blog post on it. You make them with balloons and you slide it around the mason jar. So much fun. So I highly recommend that, and like low mess, which I appreciate. But here's the thing, even though I could get rid of every piece of artwork that she makes, what I still have is her. For at least the next few years, like I get her in our house. And so what's more important to me than trying to figure out ways how to archive every piece of artwork she creates is to actually spend time with her. And that time we had together this weekend is so invaluable and worth so much more to me than any piece of artwork that she has created. Okay, owner's manuals. This is like super easy now because you can find everything online. I have not referenced an owner's manual in multiple years because it's quicker to Google it, and a lot of times you're gonna find more helpful information. People that have had the same issue that you are, and they share their tips and tricks as well. So do not keep any owner's manuals anymore. Okay, what about like insurance policies? Anytime you take out new homeowner's insurance, car insurance, life insurance, health insurance, I would think by now they wouldn't give us all this paper stuff, but we still seem to come home with all kinds of paper stuff. Again, all of this could be found online, or I've never referenced the actual policy itself. If I have a question about it, I call, I give them my specific account information, and they can answer my question because this is so confusing. And so it's so much easier just to call or online chat with them than trying to figure it out myself. Here's a good one. How about magazines? I got my mom this subscription of HGTV magazine, I think for Christmas a year and a half ago. And so she's been so kind as after she reads it, then she passes the magazine on to me. I love home decor stuff and decorating and all of that. And so I thought it would be enjoyable to flip through these. But here's the problem. I see these like sitting on my coffee table and it feels stressful to me because I feel like, oh, I should have read that. Or even after I flip through it, I'm like, oh, I should keep that because there might be ideas in there I want to use. Or what else is kind of interesting that I've noticed is like on the cover of this one is this beautiful like teal and red and yellow kitchen, which are kind of the colors of my kitchen. And so then I see it and I'm like, oh, we should do that in our kitchen and I should buy this. And then I realize that it's like breeding this like discontentment in me, or this desire to purchase things, and that is working against what I am trying to achieve right now, which is contentment in my own house with how it is right now. And so isn't that just interesting that a magazine or a catalog could bring up those kinds of feelings? And so right now, you know, I'm gonna get rid of these, but like for right now, I just want a simple, peaceful house. And maybe down the road, like maybe I'll find myself someday like really bored and like, oh, I just wish I had magazines to flip through. That would be a great day, but I don't know. These can be easily replaced. I could go to the library, I could view them on my Kindle app, or I could probably ask a friend if they have any magazines to share with me, and I could get these again. But for now, I really just want to go to the extreme, simplifying my house, see how it feels, and then decide which things I want to add back in. What about like notes that you've taken from a conference or a seminar? That it's probably actually a lot of valuable information in here. So here's my general rule of thumb with this. If it's only a year, maybe 2 years tops old, and you've actually referenced it, then let's find a safe place to keep this and let's hang on to this. But if it's older than a year or two, chances are, one, that you're never actually going to go back and review it. Two, the information's already outdated. Or three, you can find all the same information online again. All right, receipts. If it's a business receipt, I have a place for this. Or if it's a receipt for something that I think that I might need to return, I have a folder for that as well. Every other receipt, groceries, gas, anything like that that I just get on a daily basis, I do not keep those receipts anymore. Coupons that come in the mail for fast food restaurants. I just recommend getting like a reusable envelope like this, or one of those accordion style folders. Put it in there, but keep this in your car. So when this comes in the mail, put this in your car right away, and then have a folder for them all. And then when you're sitting in the drive-through line, you can sort through these and get rid of any expired ones and keep them all current. Okay, I'm sure there's some other stuff that I'm not thinking of, but basically I think you see the point. When you look at it, just decide, is it easy to replace, medium? Just get rid of it. Let's just go back to the beginning, right? Like that feeling when you first move into your house and just feels so nice and organized and has so much potential. Like, let's get back to square one. Let's have our house be a peaceful place for ourselves, for our family, for our visitors. That, you know how it is, like when you have all this like clutter stuff, even if it's behind closed doors or drawers, so even if people can't see it, like you still know it's there. So let's get rid of this stuff that is actually really easy to replace and just start fresh. All right, so coming up in part 2, we're gonna talk about the few things that we do keep. I'll show you exactly how we keep them, and talk about whether it's best to store stuff digitally or in actual file folders, and a few other tips for just keeping paper clutter at an absolute minimum in your house. As always, the best compliment you can give us is a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe so that you're notified when new videos are released as well. Okay, what? My vinyl tipping over. What about, I'm really excited to get this back out of our house again.